Hello, welcome back to Refuge. Today we're not going to dive into a new series or anything just yet. I actually wanted to share a quick ministry thought slash devotional that I had. I had a thought the other day, and that thought was your weakness does not disqualify you from the call that God has placed on your life. I had this thought, and in my head where I just kept thinking about the weaknesses that hold us back in ministry, especially us younger people. We all have our weaknesses and our strengths. Some things we are amazing at, such as speaking, maybe we're great organizers, etc. Whatever it is, we all have things that we're great at. And while on the other side of this, we have things that we wish that, we could just wish we could hire somebody else to come on and do those things for us because we essentially are weaker in that area, right? And sometimes when we dwell within our weaknesses, we can begin to take ourselves down this path of what else could go wrong. And before that, we start questioning our abilities and start doubting what God has actually called us to do. And it's through our weaknesses that we end up feeling unqualified or unfit for the call. So what does God do to reassure us or build us back up in a sense to help us get around this? Well, I look at the Bible as an example, and I look at Paul. 2 Corinthians 12, many of us know the story of Paul where he was sharing one of his personal struggles with us about the thorn in his flesh. And we see that Paul, this is a great man of God, this renowned evangelist or missionary. And we see that even he struggled in times of weakness. We know that he pleads with God, asking him over 3 different times to take this struggle away from him. And God just simply says, no. God changed nothing. And instead, what does God do when Paul is feeling weak or bound by his struggle? Well, see, God actually reassures him by telling him this. He says, my power works best in your weakness. I want you to understand here. We as people, we don't want to be weak. We want to be strong, especially us men. We want to be the strong ones. We want to be strong. But see, this isn't about being strong despite weakness. This entire thing is not about being strong after the weaknesses are even gone. Rather, it's about this, and get this, because this is the point I want you to get. It is about being strong in and through and because of the weaknesses that we face. Your weakness doesn't disqualify you from the call that God has put on you. Your weakness is actually what qualifies you even more. God works with our weaknesses. Now, that doesn't mean that we should not change. We should always pursue and continue to grow and change. We should always develop. But what I'm trying to say or tell you is that the current version of yourself is the right version of you for this moment. So stop stressing and straining to be a different version of yourself, because God wants to work with the real you. And from that starting place, progress is possible. Allow me to close as we come in here. 2 Corinthians 12:10 says this. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, and in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Your weakness does not disqualify you from the call that God has put upon your life. I hope you have an amazing week, and thank you for tuning in.